Hi there, I'm Luke from Skywalker Yoga and Fitness. Welcome to the first day of spring. Today we're going to be doing a full body workout focused on the posterior chain of the body. So the entire back side of the body is going to be the main focus. We will still hit a couple of muscle groups on the front side and lateral sides of the body as well though. You don't necessarily need any equipment for this workout. I'm going to be utilizing a combination of weights, resistance band loops around my legs, and actual band tubes for resistance as well. So if you have any of those things available to you, or if you'd like to use like jugs of water or books, any resources you have available to you for lifting equipment or to add some resistance to your workout is great. So we're going to start with just a little bit of movement prep, a couple of warm-up things to get the blood flowing, get the muscle tissues ready for movement, and then a more dynamic warm-up, and we'll get into the workout after that. So to start out, come down into a half kneeling position. If you were with me last week for our full body workout, it's pretty much the same warm-up routine for each time, or movement prep routine. So from this half kneeling position, we're squaring the hips to the front edge of the mat, or just squaring them off so this right hip feels like it plugs back in space, squeezing the butt on each side. Think about digging that right heel in and dragging it toward your opposite knee. This will help you plug those hips in and create a little bit of engagement in the legs, a little bit of tension here. Hands just clasped together in front of you, and we're going to deepen into this lunge and then come back up and out of it. So this is about like 5 or 6 times on each side, just to warm up these tissues of the legs and the hips. Okay, finish the one you're on, and then we're going to switch out the legs. Nice and easy, quick and simple. So starting with a 90-degree bend in both legs. Find that stability through the hips, plug the hips in, squeeze the glutes, drag that front heel toward your opposite knee, create some tension in the legs. Hands together, and then we're deepening into that lunge, squeezing the butt to come back out of it. Okay, after that side, we're going to come back to the other leg and work on warming up the hamstrings a little bit on this side. So starting from that 90-degree bend, you're actually going to step that front foot forward about another footprint or so. So it'll be a little overextended, a little past 90 degrees. Hands are just going to rest on top of this front thigh. We're going to inhale to deepen into the lunge. And then as you exhale, send your hips all the way back, straighten the front leg. And then we're just sitting the hips back, keeping the back nice and flat, and just guiding the chest toward the chin and toward the shin. It doesn't need to fold all the way down. You can place your hands on the mat for a little support if you'd like. It's usually a pretty juicy stretch on the back of the hamstring. The more you flex this front foot of the extended leg too, the more you're going to feel this stretch in the back of your leg. So play around with that position. If you need to back off a little bit, you can point the toes. If you want to intensify it, you can pull the toes back towards your hip. Okay, and then just hands on the mat and move back and forth between those two positions for a couple rounds. Okay, then we're going to come back to the left leg, start at 90 degrees, and then step that foot a footprint forward, a little past 90 degrees here. Inhale to come forward. And then shift the hips back, stretching the hamstring on the left side, pulling those toes back towards your hip to intensify the stretch on the back of the leg. And I should note that before you do this movement prep stuff or any kind of stretching, you really should warm up the tissues of the body a little bit too. Maybe with something like a brisk walk, not anything too intense activity-wise. We'll get the heart rate going as we go along through the workout, but just to start to warm up the body a little bit before you hold any kind of more intense stretch. You also don't want to overdo it with the stretching before a workout too, or you get the muscle in too relaxed of a position to be able to contract fully and benefit you as much as it would otherwise in your workout. Moving through those positions a few times. Come back forward, slide that left foot back, come to a tabletop position. So your wrists are directly below your shoulders, knees below the hips. Toes can be tucked under to stretch the arches of your feet a little bit, or tops of the feet can be flat on the mat. From here, you're going to take one hand, place it behind your head. Inhale that elbow up toward the ceiling. As you exhale, tap it down just beside your left hand. Inhaling to come up, exhaling it down. Take 6 or 7 rounds of this on each side. Good, and we're going to switch out, so left hand comes behind the head. Inhale it up, exhale it down. This one just warms up the thoracic spine, so the middle, most flexible part of our spine here, just preparing it to engage properly for movement as we go forward. Okay, last movement prep thing we'll do is hip rock backs. So for this, make sure your knees are supported on something comfortable. If you need to roll up a towel or a blanket below your knees, you can. For this, you're going to come into kind of a frog position with your legs. So your feet are going to be directly behind your knees. I keep my toes tucked under for these usually. You can lay the feet flat on the ground, but it feels like a lot of pressure sometimes. Hands are going to stay below your shoulders, or you can walk them a little bit forward. You're going to inhale to shift the hips forward slightly. Exhale to rock them back as far as you can comfortably go with your range of motion. Okay, and keep moving between those positions here. So this usually gets a little more into the inner thighs and the hip flexors. For some people, the glutes and the lower back are aided by this stretch too. Good. Come back forward, bring the knees together. Okay, that's it for our movement prep. So we're going to come up onto our feet. We'll get the blood flowing a little bit, just a little light marching in place to start out for a few seconds. We'll build a little bit of speed as we go. So bringing the knees up to a 90-degree bend each time, keeping the hips level, so not rocking your whole pelvis forward or rounding your back. Nice and even, side to side. Okay, switch to a light jog in place. Feet are barely picked up off the ground here, just kind of bouncing side to side, starting to get the blood flowing a little bit through the body. Okay, start to pick the knees up a little bit higher, bringing them back up almost to that 90-degree bend, but a little bit quicker now than before. Switching to butt kicks, so kicking the heels up as high as you can behind you. And coming back to the center, light jog in place in between each little warm-up activity that I give you here. So anytime I'm talking, come back to this. From here, we're going to do 20 jumping jacks next. 5, 10, halfway there, 15, 3, 2, 1. Come back to your jog in place. Next move, while I'm talking, I'm going to demo it for you. Keep jogging in place. You're going to position your feet in a nice wide position. Out past shoulder with distance. Toes can be slightly angled out. Hands are gonna come together in front of you. Keep jogging while I explain. I'll do 2 and then you join. Take a breath in, and then you're gonna lunge to one side, keeping the opposite leg straight. Inhale to come back through center. Exhale down to the other side. Go ahead and join in. Sending your butt back as far as you can each time you come down. Keeping the back straight, chest is lifted and aimed forward the whole time. Come back to your light jogging place. Keep jogging, I'll demo the next thing. So next and final little warm-up activity is gonna be bodyweight squats. Feet are gonna be just about hip-width distance apart or a little bit wider. Toes pointed straight forward for these. Hands clasped together in front of you. I'll do 2 and then you join in. Take a breath in at the top. Exhale as you come back up. Inhale. Join in. If you want to add on to this, you can extend your arms on the way down, either out overhead or directly out in front of you. Three more. Good, come back to a little jog in place. A few more seconds here. Should be feeling nice and warmed up now. All right, grab yourself a little sip of water and then we will get into the rest of our workout. All right, so as we move through our workout today, we're gonna start with the biggest muscle groups and work our way down to the smallest. We'll do a few rounds and we'll build a circuit. So we will go through all of the exercises we're going to do and then come back after we've taken a break and circle back through all the same things again. At least 2 rounds, maybe 3 if I'm not dead by the end of 2. So if you're using weights or resistance bands, go ahead and grab them here. We're going to start with some hamstring work. So I'm going to grab my giant King Kong weights from Amazon. And we're going to start with a reverse deadlift, basically. So you're starting with the weights just in front of your hips. Back is nice and flat, shoulders are pulled back, shoulder blades pulled together. Squeeze your butt at the top just to correct your pelvic tilt here. Take a breath in at the top. As you exhale, you're sending your butt back, letting the knees bend just slightly, keeping the back flat. Weights come down to about shin level, and then squeezing the butt to pull back up. So it's inhale at the top. Exhale back up. You should be feeling this through your hamstrings, the back of your legs, and your butt. If you're not feeling much, play around with variations in the bend in your knees. See if that makes a difference. If you're using a band for this, you position the band under both feet and then hold down below the handles of the band so you have adequate resistance. So you'd start those from more of a bent over position and stand up, so more of a traditional deadlift than these reverse deadlifts. 3 more. Squeezing the butt each time you come up. Last one. Good, if you're using weights, I'm gonna set mine down and switch over to bands for the next thing. Just give my body a little break from holding those giant things. So I'll actually show you what I meant about the bands if you're doing deadlifts with bands. I'm positioned by starting it under both feet, and I'm holding down here below the handles of the band, starting in that bent over position with a flat back, shoulders pulled toward the butt, and then standing up on the exhale. So that's the idea if you're doing deadlifts with a band rather than reverse deadlifts with a weight. You can do either, working the same muscle groups just in a slightly different way. So we're going to move on to back muscles for a moment next and then come back to the legs. For this, you're actually going to set up in the same way you just were with both feet stepping on the band. You can use weights for this too if that's all you have. It's totally fine. Whichever type of resistance, you can change it every time. We're going to hold this bent over position to start and then pulling the elbows out past the rib cage. Inhaling at the bottom, exhaling at the top. Two more. Good. If you're using bands, set them off to the side, or you can use them in a similar way for the next activity. I'm going to come back to the weights for this next thing. So we're going to do single-legged deadlifts next. So for these, you're going to position one foot in the center, bearing your weight on that one foot, so make sure you spread your toes nice and wide so you can grip the floor. Center those weights in front of that leg that's in front. Your back leg, I don't want that hip open to the side as much. I want you on the ball of the back foot, keeping your hips squared. Okay, from here take a breath in, flat back. Same thing as the reverse deadlifts. We're coming down to about shin level and then coming back up. Really just targeting the right hamstring and glute here. Doesn't matter how high the left leg comes up. As long as it comes off the floor a little bit, or you can even keep the toes on the ground for a little bit of support here, you're still going to work the right hamstring and glute. One more on this side. Give yourself a little break and then we'll move on to the other side. If you're using heavy weight for those, they can be pretty intense. Okay. Ground down through your left foot this time. Get that right foot in its starting position, hips squared. Weights or bands frame that front leg. Take an inhale, flat back. Exhale as you come back up. It's normal to lose your balance a little bit on these. If you need to keep that other foot just touching the floor for a little stability, totally fine. Good. Set your weights off to the side. If you have a little loop band that you can put around your thighs, go ahead and grab it. We're going to make our way down onto our backs on the floor. So put that band on, make sure it's just above the knees on your thighs. Take a seat. And then we're going to get down into a prep for a glute bridge position. So arms are down at your sides. Feet are stepped out just enough to give some resistance on the band so you feel that tug on your outer thighs. We're going to go for 25 of these. So you're going to take a breath in at the bottom, exhale at the top. So here we go. Breath in. Giving a little pause at the top of each glute bridge. Making sure you're lifting your tailbone up first, so you're fully squeezing your butt on the way up. We're at 12, we're almost halfway there. That's 20, we've got 5 more. If your butt's not burning by now, it will be definitely on the next round. Last 2. Yeah, if you don't have a booty after this workout today, something went wrong. So we're gonna keep that band on between the legs. If you're not using a band, that's okay. There will still be an effect of these movements. So we're gonna do something called fire hydrants next. They're kind of exactly what they sound like. So, as if you're a little puppy peeing on a fire hydrant, keeping one knee on the ground, raising the other out to the side as high as you can without contorting your back. So all the movement is coming from the right hip here. If your butt wasn't burning from the glute bridges, it's definitely burning by now. These are great though, get that side booty dimple that everybody wants. 9 and 10. And we're gonna move on to the other side. Okay, here we go. I'm taking little breaks at the halfway point on these because they're literally killing me. Okay. Good. All right, we can get this band off of our legs. Okay. And then, if you have tube bands, we're going to do a little tricep work next. If you do not have bands to utilize, you can do some close grip push-ups here in place of that, and that'll still help target the triceps a little bit, but that's what we're going to be going for with the band movement that we're doing. So, if you're going for the close grip push-ups, make sure your hands are in, level with your chest or your nipple line, and in as much as you can, so your elbows should brush your rib cage every time you come down. Okay, so if you're doing those, take a set of 10. Otherwise, if you're using bands, you can't really see me that great from this position. Hook your band over the top of a door if you have some kind of attachment that allows you to do so, or some kind of hook that's secure. I'm going to get in a bent position so you can see me a little bit better, but ideally you should do these in a standing position so that your back is vertical. So essentially we're going to extend the triceps down and level with their shoulders. Okay, you can kind of see me here. I'll figure out a better way to do these before the next time I film for you guys. Okay, taking 10 to 12 of these. All right, coming back up. While we're at it, why don't we throw in a little bit more back work before the end of the round. We did these in the last workout too, but I love them, so we're gonna do them again. You're gonna take a little resistance band, or you can use a single weight for these. Loop it under one foot and hold it in the hand on the same side, and then you can switch hands on the next set. Coming back to that bent over position with a flat back, other hand just rests on your thigh, and you're pulling this elbow up, like you're starting a lawnmower. Next side after 10 to 12. Get your back set up nice and flat, no rounding here ever. You don't have to be as dramatic as me with the breathing, but I do find that it helps me power through the exercises to really emphasize the exhales on the most difficult part of the movement. It can give you a little extra oomph to push through. So don't be shy about it, especially if you're working out alone at home. Who cares what they sound like? All right, so we're gonna do a few core things. That'll finish the round, and then we'll take a little water break and come back and do a whole other round of everything. So for core, come down onto your hands and knees to start. You can use a band around your thighs for this one. I'm not going to, but absolutely can if you want to add resistance to it. These are called bird dogs. I'm sure you've seen them before. So I'm going to start with my right toes tucked under, left hand gripping the mat. We're going to extend right arm, left leg at the same time, really reaching toward those opposite walls, and then rounding in, bringing that elbow to the inside of the left thigh. If these feel too easy, if you're doing them too passively, act as though you're pushing your limbs through a quicksand. So really creating tension, moving nice and slow. Tension, 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 as though you can almost force your limbs to shake if you create enough tension in them. That adds to this exercise. So time under tension is another way we can modify our movements to make them more effective, or to challenge ourselves in different ways. So it doesn't always have to be increasing the number of reps you do of something or the amount of weight that you're lifting. Sometimes that time under tension is just the variable you need to call for a change or an adaptation in your muscles. Good. We're going to switch sides here. Tucking those left toes under, gripping with the right hand, extend. Exhale as you round in, push through that sand. Breathing out like this, that really intense exhale, really does help to strengthen the diaphragm. And you're also working your intrinsic core muscles at the same time. So it's kind of a multi-purpose tool that you have at your disposal that you can use all the time for a little bit of core work. Light core work, but it's still something. Okay, after the bird dogs, we're gonna flip over onto our backs and do some leg raises. You can do these from a sitting up position, which is how I'm going to do them today. If that's too much of a challenge for you, bring your back down to the floor, tuck your hands on your butt, and you can do them like that. So for me, start with the feet extended, hands are about below the shoulders and a little bit wider just for some support. Keeping my shoulder blades back so my back is nice and flat. I'm gonna lift the feet straight up and then come back down and hover off the floor. A little bend in the knees at the top is totally fine. Good. Take a second to breathe. Next thing we're going to do is some Russian twists. So for these, your feet can stay on the ground if you need that support. If you want to add on to this, lift your heels up off the ground and balance at the same time. You can use a light weight for this if you have it and you want to take it side to side with you. For some added resistance, usually for me, hands together is just enough. So start nice and tall. Bring that elbow over to the side to start. And then we're just twisting side to side. Again, create some tension in your body to add on that time under tension challenge here. And then if you want to add a balance challenge to it, lift the feet up. Time for a water break. We're going to take a couple minutes in between rounds here, and then we'll get through one more round today, and then we'll call it. If you want more after that last round, be kind and rewind and do your own thing. So glad it's spring. I forgot to open my windows before this, so it's hot as hell in my apartment. Take a few more seconds just to catch our breath before we do another round. For the second round, if you want to add a challenge to yourself, there's a couple things you can do. If you have some little loop bands accessible to you, you can keep them around your legs through the entire round, just to add that extra tension and resistance on the legs. If you want to add a little bit extra beyond that, you can do a little quick set of like 10 jumping jacks in between each exercise to keep your heart rate up and make this more of a HIIT style cardio workout. So feel free to make it your own, modify as you want to. Also, if you need to take more breaks, totally fine. I'm not going to criticize you because I can't see you. Okay, come on up. We're going to start again with our reverse deadlifts. So grabbing your weights or your bands, whatever modality you're using for these. Okay, setting up with your feet hip width distance apart, back nice and flat. Squeeze the butt, correct that pelvic tilt before you begin. We're keeping the back flat, setting the butt back, gently bending the knees. Weights come down to about the shins, just past knee level, and then squeezing the butt to stand back up. If you find yourself rushing through these to get them over with, you're not going to get as much out of the movement. It would serve you to slow down a little bit. Maybe count to 3 on your way down, 1 second on the way up. So don't just blast through them. You're doing yourself a disservice. There's a time and place for power movements and getting through things quickly, but that is not the focus of this workout today. Being deliberate about our movements, feeling that muscle lengthening and contraction with each repetition. Last one. Good, we're gonna move on to our bent over rows with 2 arms this time. Again, you can use your weights for these or use bands if you have some. Bands underfoot. Grab down below the handle so you have adequate tension on the bands. You can always step your feet a little bit wider to get a little more tension out of them too. Holding that flat back position, pulling up on the exhale. More. Good. Okay, we're going to move on to our single leg deadlifts next. Again, using whichever modality you're using today, totally fine. I'm going to retighten these weights. It's ridiculously large. Weights they're heavy, but they're nowhere near as heavy as they look. Get anchoring through the right foot, keeping the hips square on the toes of the left. This time I'm going to keep this left foot on the ground through the whole set. And really just focus on taking it nice and slow. Feeling that expansion and contraction of my right hamstring. Going for 10 on each side. Good. Give yourself a second, then we'll move on to the other side. If you're keeping pace with me through this workout, you're somewhat likely to have burned nearly 500 calories at this point. We still got a little ways to go, so it's a good burner workout today. If you ate a donut for breakfast, it's gone. Okay, get yourself set up for the left leg. Here we go. Good. Set your weights aside. We're going to come back to our single arm rows with a little band. Again, you can use a weight for these if you'd rather. Or a book, or a canned good, or a jug of milk, whatever you've got. Set yourself up, feet hip width distance apart, bending the knees, flat back. If you want to change your grip halfway through, go for it. I forgot about it, so I'm going to do it now. And 10. Good, we'll switch sides. Start with that right hand grip this time, so cross body first and then same side. Taking 5 like this and then switching to the left hand. Alright, get rid of this little guy. I'm going to put my heavier band back on to come down for our glute bridges and then fire hydrants. We're almost done, kiddos, just a few more things left. So band around the thighs, just above the knees. Get your back down on the floor, feet just wide enough to have some tension in the band. We're going for 25 again. Take a breath in. Little 1 or 2 second pause at the top of each rep. About halfway through. Five more. Last one. Good, hips down. We're gonna roll over and do our fire hydrants next. Again, I'm gonna do 5. 5 and then switch, 5 and then switch. Okay, here we go. feeling this burn? Last 5. Good. All right. If you're taking the band off for your core exercises, go for it. We'll come up and do the tricep extensions last, but we'll finish this stuff on the floor first. All right, so setting up for a bird dog. So right toes, left hand are gripping the mat. On an inhale, extending right arm, left leg. Exhale, pull it in. Keep that tension in your body the whole way through. 10 on each side. Good. Switching sides, left toes, right hand down. Good. Come over onto our backs for our leg raises next. And then Russian twists, and we'll finish with tricep extensions. Okay. Hands behind you and slightly out to the sides, legs straight to start. Here we go. Good, that was 20. Take a second, catch your breath. Let's knock out these twists. Again, your heels can stay on the ground with your toes lifted, or you can lift the feet up for a little added balance challenge. Hands together. Start on your opposite side this time. Good. All right. Last thing is our tricep extensions, and then we are done for the day. I'm going to move mine down to the door handle and see if it's a little easier to show you that way. Okay, so from here, coming into that, actually to do these with the flat back in that bent over position is great. It takes the pressure off of your shoulders. So feet hip width distance apart, hands under your shoulders to start. Exhale as you send it back. One more. All right. Get yourself some water. Great work today, everybody. Thank you for joining me. I hope to see you again if this was your first time here. Don't let it scare you away if it was intense. It gets better. If you still have energy, rewind and do another round or two. That's it for today, you guys. Happy spring. I'm so excited that it's finally getting nice outside. What a great way to end like an extremely long, challenging winter that we've all been through. Stay safe, wear your masks, help stop the spread, stay healthy. I'll see you next time.